Bonjour les amis. Ce matin, je vais vous montrer une vidéo d'Eric Berg où il nous explique en quoi les corps cétoniques peuvent être dangereux pour le cancer.
Let's talk about cancer and ketones. There's some very, very important points I want to bring up. There's been this debate on whether the ketogenic diet is good or bad for cancer. Also, whether the ketogenic diet is the best diet once you get cancer. Okay? Well, here's my viewpoint based on the data that I have. I believe that a healthy ketogenic diet with intermittent fasting and periodic prolonged fasting can prevent cancer. And it is the diet and program to prevent cancer. Why do I say that? Because the actual cause of cancer is mitochondrial damage. And there's nothing that destroys the mitochondria more than metabolic syndrome and high insulin in a diet that is high in sugar. It creates massive damage to the mitochondria. So this is why healthy keto and intermittent fasting is what you need to do to prevent cancer. But what is the best diet you should go on when you get cancer? That's a different protocol. I'm going to cover that in a second, but I want to first talk about ketones. You have two types of ketones. You have the ketones that are produced by a low-carb diet, and you also have ketones that are produced when you're fasting. Two different processes. There is some very strong evidence to show that cancer cells can also consume ketones, unfortunately, okay? But when you get your ketones from fasting, something else happens. You get this massive anti-cancer effect. You get the help of your immune system. You get the help of certain genetic things that are occurring that are very anti-cancer. So the ketones that occur when you're fasting are not going to feed the cancer like it would when you're just doing a low-carb diet. Also, when you're fasting, your normal cells are a bit protected from chemo and radiation if you go that direction. So these ketones actually give you more protection when you're doing fasting, okay? And what's interesting about that is the cancer cells don't get that protection. So right there, that's a really cool advantage. The ketones, when you're fasting, also enhance the effects of radiation, which there's some interesting data on that. I'll put some links down below. So if you develop cancer, what diet should you be on? Well, that's evolving. There's more data. We're actually doing some very interesting research right now. A clinical trial, which I would love you to contribute to, and I'll put a link down below because it involves several clinical trials, very strategically done by some high-level scientists that are extremely smart in this area. But we're trying to find a protocol that doesn't involve massive amounts of fasting. But what we definitely know right now is that fasting is the most powerful weapon against cancer. But what do you do if you're very, very thin? It becomes a problem because the eating plan for cancer should be low carb. It should be low protein. It should also be low fat. Also, it should be high in phytonutrients, as in a lot of nutrient-dense vegetables, okay? So this gives us a problem because we're on a low-calorie diet. We're not trying to go low-calorie. We're just trying to starve out that cancer of various fuels that the cancer cell is dependent on. And then if you add a lot of fasting in there, you're not going to be eating anything at all. So it gives us another problem we have to solve. The cool thing about the phytonutrients from plants is that they are selective. In other words, a lot of the phytonutrients from plants are anti-cancer. They create apoptosis, which causes a cell to commit suicide, but only the cancer cells. Your own normal cells do not commit suicide when you consume the phytonutrients from these leafy greens. So that's very interesting. We also have the factor of your immune system. The problem with chemo and radiation is it kills off your immune system. And one of the best preventative things for cancer too is a very, very strong immune system. And that takes some time to develop and build up through nutrient-dense foods, years of working on your sleep, your nutrient reserves in your cells, eating foods that are high in nutrients. All that's going to help you. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about this relationship between cancer and ketones and give you some interesting points on this, but stay tuned for more videos on this topic.